Are you buying a car and you can't decide whether you want a manual or automatic? Well, this video is for you. What is up, guys? It's Nick again from Simplified, and today we're going to be talking about the advantages and disadvantages of either manual and automatic. And in terms of automatic, we'll be talking about the several types of automatic, but mainly CVT and DCT. So starting off with manual, we all know that manual is one of the oldest transmissions out there, and most people actually prefer manual and they say it is the real way to go. But as time progresses, as I mentioned in my previous videos, that automatics have gotten better, generally better. So like you have DCTs, you have CVTs, you have APs, AMTs, and in this video we're going to be talking about CVTs and DCTs. So starting off, we're going to be talking about which one is more fuel efficient, which one is better in performance, which one shifts faster, which one's the overall better transmission. And the answer is there is no overall better transmission, but in each category they all have their advantages. So let's say you're driving around the city, let's say you just want to get from point A to point B, and you want to get, you know, high fuel efficiency, you want something that's cheap on gas and that's smooth, that's easy for beginners to drive, then you want a CVT or continuously variable transmission. Essentially, CVTs are gearless. They're gearless transmissions. They don't rely on any gears. They are, as the name suggests itself, it's a continuously variable transmission. Every single time you accelerate or decelerate, it's always in the most efficient spot. Because basically, how a CVT works is it has this belt that's attached and it just stretches it. It's not like, you know, a preset gear where you have the first gear, second gear, third gear. There are no gear ratios. There are no pre-specified areas. It's just continuously. It's like it's feathered. It's smooth. It's easy to use, and that's where you want to use a CVT. If you just want to get from point A to point B. Now, if you want something with a bit more performance, you want something that gives you a faster car, something that's more powerful, something that can, you know, your transmission actually also affects the amount of weight that you can tow. So if you have like a pickup truck, or like you want to tow something, you want to tow vehicles, or you want something that's stronger when you're climbing up mountains, or you want something that's more controllable in high speeds, then you want a dual clutch transmission. DCTs are for performance. Whether it's for speed or for strength, you want the DCT. This is why DCTs are usually common and seen in high performance vehicles or utility-based vehicles. They use a DCT. That's why you want like a powerful transmission. That's a DCT, right? You want something fast. But the disadvantage of DCT is that if you don't know how to drive it properly, you can easily damage it, right? DCT is meant for drivers who are more experienced. CVT is for beginners or those who don't want to think about it much. Like example, let's say you're an experienced driver but you're tired of like thinking when to shift, or you're tired on thinking how to press the pedal, go for CVT. But DCTs, if you really want something like a spirited drive, go for a DCT. Now, if you want something that is more controllable, you want to feel connected to the vehicle, you want to feel like you control every single component in the vehicle, then you go for a manual. Because truth is, the only advantage that manual has today over automatics is the overall control, the feel. But if you want something cheap on gas, CVT is better. If you want something that's faster, DCT is better. Now to talk about the disadvantages of each transmission. The problem of CVTs, like I've mentioned before, they're generally slower than DCTs and manuals, right? So CVTs, since they have like this stretching thing going on, it's generally slower and it feels slower, and you have what we call this rubber band effect. Although modern CVTs try to emulate gears, like let's say the new Subaru WRX, it uses a CVT, but when you put it into manual mode, it actually creates these options like fake gears that actually help make you feel like you're in a DCT or in a manual. Because, right, so you have a stretching motion, right? CVTs, the way that you accelerate, it just goes like, that's how CVTs function, right? Unlike a DCT, my car right now, listen to this, right? And then it shifts. Right? That's a DCT. So my current car right now is a DCT, and I am in love with DCTs. But as I was saying, with CVTs, it gives you that stretchy feeling. But with modern CVTs, they simulate or emulate fake gears. In the Subaru WRX, like I mentioned, it just skips, right? Instead of going continuous, what it does, it goes tan 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 like that. It's like it simulates first gear, second gear, third gear, even though it's gearless. And to be honest, I never driven one. But based on a lot of people's opinions of Subaru's new CVT, a lot of people love it, and it doesn't feel like a CVT. That's what they say. So pretty much, it's more of preference at this point. And you would want to test drive yourself so that you would know if you want a CVT, DCT, or a manual. Now with DCTs, the disadvantage of DCTs, like I mentioned before, it can easily get damaged if you don't know how to use it. A great example is here in the Philippines. A lot of people had Ford EcoSports with DCTs. Ford EcoSport is a budget car that Ford made for the masses. But the problem is, most people who bought a Ford EcoSport only know how to drive CVTs or traditional automatics. And the problem with that is that with a DCT, for example, when you creep up, right? When you're in traffic, bumper to bumper traffic, and you just let go of the brake, your clutch can actually overheat, and thus making the DCT damaged. That's the reason why a lot of EcoSports actually broke down in the first few months of actually just buying it, and everyone said that EcoSport was terrible. Although I do agree that the EcoSport has a lot of other flaws as well, but the main flaw of the EcoSport was the DCT. A lot of people didn't know how to use it properly, and that was the problem, the main flaw of the EcoSport, and that's the reason why you need to know how to use a DCT if you want a DCT. But essentially, a quick tip in using DCT is essentially you treat it as a manual, right? In a manual, you don't just let go of the clutch, right? You want to let go of the clutch and you give it some gas. Same with the DCT. When you're in stop and go traffic, you don't want to just let go of the brake. You want to put some gas. That's why you give some space from the car in front of you, then you press the gas. You never ever just let go of the brake because you can overheat your clutch. And honestly, that happened to me once back when I didn't know how to drive anything yet. Like, I was a student driver. I ended up overheating my clutch. But luckily, there was a warning that said clutch overheat, please pull over. And I did some research and I found out that, oh, I'm not supposed to drive this like a usual automatic. I'm supposed to drive this like a manual. I'm supposed to rev the engine. I'm supposed to give it gas so I wouldn't overheat the clutch. And truth is, compared to other automatics, DCTs are very complicated to use. But once you get the hang of it, it's really awesome. It's amazing. But the other downside of DCTs is that since they're more performance oriented, of course you lose a bit on the fuel efficient department, right? You consume more fuel than CVTs, consume more fuel than manuals, and at times it can actually be jarring, right? Since you have a DCT, you have two clutches that are prepared at all times. They shift instantly, but the problem is in stop and go traffic, that shifting, that instantaneous shifting can actually be a bit stiff. If the car doesn't shift properly, you can actually get this jerky feeling, like when you're driving at 10 kph and then the car shifts, you can actually feel like it goes like that, right? Like it goes, it's bumpy. Unlike CVTs, it's continuously flowing, or ATs, they use planetary gear sets and torque converters. DCTs, since they have dual clutches, at slow speeds, DCTs can be a little bit uncomfortable. But when you drive a DCT every day, you don't actually notice it. But you can really feel the difference, right? If you want something fast and agile, like something that you can brake instantly, you can accelerate instantly, go for DCT. But if you want something smooth, right, it slows down slowly, or it accelerates slowly, you go for CVTs. And again, manual, just mainly control. Follow for more.